Greetings to all our participants. Before we start the program, here are some friendly reminders. Please complete the session so you can get a certificate of attendance from Global Alliance. First segment is Career World. Second segment is Jobs World, which will start at 4:30 p.m. All participants who will be able to complete the two sessions will be given access to all the materials that were presented during the webinar. You will also get notifications and updates from Global Alliance as to the link for internship and job opportunities that will be launched in November this year. There will be another session scheduled 27th of October. For those of you who are interested to participate, please register through the link flash on your screen. You can also visit the Global Alliance Facebook for more details. And now, let us start the session. To give her welcome remarks and to provide you an overview of today's webinar, here's the organizing chair of this year's Global Alliance Student and Young Practitioners Month, the first Filipino director of Global Alliance, founder and CEO of Ardent Communication, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Ana Pista.
Good afternoon, everyone. First off, allow me to thank each and every one of you for taking time and making it to this webinar. I am so thrilled to have all of you and joining us in celebrating the Student and Young Practitioner Month. We at Global Alliance are excited to finally meet you and do activities with you. We have prepared this webinar series with the goal of helping prepare you all in the practice of public relations and communications. We have invited distinguished speakers from the academe and the profession to share with you the most relevant issues we at the PR industry are facing today. We have invited distinguished speakers to share the most relevant issues we at the PR industry are facing today. And here they are: Swati Bermani from the Manfront University in England, and Dr. Carlin Azionia from the University of Johannesburg, South Africa. About today's session, I'm just gonna give you a brief info about today's sessions. Global Alliance for PR and Communication Management put together a series of online activities this October that are meant to give you guys a better understanding of the most pressing issues in the industry today. These activities, which will fall under the No Movement is simply No Now, campaign, form part of the celebration of the Student and Young Practitioner Month. This is designed to further steer your hearts and minds and young practitioners looking to join the ranks of PR profession in the future. So after the event, would love if you use the hashtag No Movement if you're gonna post anything about what you learned today. Just to give you an idea of what the No Movement is all about, it is an approach meant to ally the practitioners' worries of having no movement in their careers. It is also meant to excite you students to become more engaged and to stay in the know of the latest trends in the industry. Therefore, it's all about knowledge sharing and providing that you guys with information that are useful, timely, and very much relevant now. The celebration of Student and Young Practitioners Month provides a perfect opportunity for you guys to undertake online event executions as part of the No Movement. So there are only 3 takeaways for today's session, both for Career World and Jobs World. This year's live streaming events aim to, first, provide you with a bird's eye view on the impact of artificial intelligence and similar other trends in the PR industry. Second, share with you the experiences of industry experts while working in PR-related industries. And third, provide you tips on how you all can get better in your chosen career. Deep dive into AI. AI has recently been integrated into business systems that are perceived to be reliable and efficient. According to our recent survey conducted with students and young practitioners, AI might replace some of the work and tasks of people in various industries. How will this impact the workforce landscape of the communication or PR industry? Are we prepared for this? To formally kick off the session, I would like to turn the floor over to our lovely moderator, Ms. Shreya Krishnan, who is an advisor, author, and activist with a great heart. She will be our moderator for today's session. Take it away, Shreya.
Thank you so much, Anna. Hello, everybody. I'm going to be your host for today's session. The Student and Young Practitioner Month is an annual event of Global Alliance that aims to share timely and relevant knowledge that benefits students and young practitioners like you who are keen on advancing your communications practice. Now, it forms part of the professional development activities of Global Alliance, and it's being arranged in line with the Alliance's ongoing No Movement campaign. So you know the hashtag No Movement. So let's start off with a Career World session. I'm really excited to hear what our speakers have put together for us today. The purpose of Career World is to invite guests from the academia, industry, experts to engage all of us in a dialogue and a panel discussion. So without further ado, our first speaker is a senior lecturer in economics at the De Montfort University. A warm applause. Please put your hands together and bring forward Dr. Swati Virvani. Swati, the stage is all yours. Take it away.
Right, just a quick check. Everyone can see my screen. Perfect. Right. Thanks, Shreya, for the lovely introduction. And also thank you, Anna, for introducing the webinar. And a massive thanks to all the audience members for joining us. It's a pleasure to be talking to all of you. So as Shreya mentioned, I'm Swati. I'm senior lecturer in economics. So my background is not public relations, but I work closely with practitioners, and also because my research is mostly into AI, so I put the two together. And that's why I'm here to talk to you. The purpose of my talk would be around one of the Chartered Institute of Public Relations panel report. So I sit on their AI in PR panel. I'm one of the panel members. And in August this year, we conducted a comprehensive research around humans needed more than ever. I think that's quite a topical title there. So I'm going to start with a brief introduction around what's happening in AI world, how it's related to PR, then look at the research findings. I will also link up the research findings, map that with the Global Capabilities Framework that you probably would have heard of. And then I would conclude. Just as a takeaway, on the screen, you can see the QR code on the right-hand side, bottom right-hand side. If you scan that, it will take you straight to the report. So we started basically around in 2018 when we published, initially the panel published a report on humans still needed. That report was mostly around how AI is touching upon different sort of skill sets within public relations. Whereas this year, we kind of revised that report to bring it forward, of course, with the whole advent of ChatGPT last year and other tools that have become massively popular. So this particular report on humans needed more than ever, it's about looking at how AI is touching or assisting the varied public relations task. So to begin, of course, AI is not new. Across these last 20 years, 2 decades or so, there has been an explosion in the digital world. AI is massively touching each and every sector. So it's not new, but perhaps what's new since the last year is the computational power of AI has increased massively. There's a sprint of new developments. Every week we are hearing about new tools. So the question now comes upon how do we guard ourselves against these tools? I'm pretty sure government across the world, educational institutions such as myself, my institution and the other top universities in the UK, across the Europe, they're all looking at what sort of frameworks we should come up with in order to regulate AI. Not just the institutions, but even the AI developers themselves are asking us to pause. So if we quote Sam Altman here, who's the CEO of OpenAI, he did say that if this tech goes wrong, it will be quite wrong. So whenever we look at something around AI or any sort of technological development, the major question that comes up is, how do we regulate it? How are we using it? Is it ethical? Are we doing a responsible use of AI or not? So earlier this year as well, there was another report that was launched by the panel itself. So our CIPR colleagues came up with a research that looked at how many tools PR practitioners now have that they can use them. So what they found out is more than 6,000 tools can now be used in public relations. Now that's a huge number. And in fact, hundreds of tools are coming across every week. So you come across a new tool sort of every week, and hundreds of them. So there's plenty to try from. The question, of course, is which ones are better for which task? Which one should we use? Which one would allow us to do a more responsible use? But $1 million question, I'm sure, is something that, Anna, of course, you started on with, is will AI take away our jobs or not? If we go by the report from Goldman Sachs, then 300 million jobs could be lost. 2/3 of the jobs are expected to be automated. Amongst the most risk sectors, yes, public relations is a part of that, along with marketing, art, design, writing, and any other support function. But there's also potential of AI to increase the gross domestic product by 7% globally. So if I say as a conclusion to all these comments, that AI is massively exploding. It does have a growth potential. We are kind of talking something around 1.6 billion only into 2023 itself. So I'll come to what our research suggests in terms of, how will AI impact in particularly around jobs? Would it completely replace us, or would it just displace? So we'll come to that in the next couple of slides in a few minutes. But in terms of specifically the public relations, what can AI tools do? So of course, there's media monitoring. So gone are those days when you would physically cut newspaper articles, compile them for a daily review. That's no longer done. Social media monitoring and analysis, something that has a number of tools to work around with. Influencer identification, stakeholder management, email marketing. I think that perhaps is the simplest way to automate. You can market through emails, chatbot, content creation. But whenever I speak about content creation or blog post, I think that's where the caution comes in. Because as soon as you start using tools such as ChatGPT, you would obviously start to question around ethics, fabrication of information, the tool hallucinating, giving you wrong outputs, and whatnot. If I look at a research from the Public Relations Communications Association that was done in February 2023, specifically around ChatGPT and use of similar software, what they found out was 4% of the PR pros says that they very frequently use these tools. 11% say fairly frequently. 29% say they rarely use it. 30% say they never use it, but they plan to use it. Whereas there were 25% who said they would never use it and not even plan to use it. Surprisingly, however, these numbers are accelerating. So since February itself, now we're into October, these numbers have massively accelerated. So even after this one, in May 2023 itself, PR Week UK found out that 23% were using in the agency, the agencies are using ChatGPT or similar tools. But what AI can't do, which is something like a breather for us, because AI cannot do anything that relates to empathy, trust, relationship building. So humans are still important when it comes to, developing a relationship with a client. When it comes to something around strategic work or critical thinking, yes, there are tools that can be used to brainstorm, but they're not completely replaceable. So AI cannot completely replace human connections when it comes to the last two sort of strands of work. So specifically moving on to what we did during August. So as a panel, we put together a research that takes into account both quantitative surveys and qualitative interviews. So we look at public relations practitioners across the world. We spoke with them. We did interviews and things that included senior practitioners, mid-level practitioners, and even junior colleagues. And we found out amongst the 21 tasks that we looked at that could PR tasks that could be assisted by AI, 40% of them, around 40% of them on average, are now assisted by AI. The degree of assistance amongst those 21 tasks that we identified in the report varies between 10 to 70%. However, the good news is that no single task can be 100% replaced by AI. The tasks that we found out in our report, which had massive or the maximum level of AI use, were something to do with media monitoring, social media management, data analysis. But the good news is that AI is now augmenting us. It is now being used as an assistant because it's allowing us to free our time for more governance or ethical sort of issues. So it's allowing us to up our game, to move up on the ladder where when it comes to more tactical use or more tactical way of dealing with information. So the good news, as I was saying in the beginning, is from the research which we found out is that it's not going to replace us. It will displace tasks, but it will not completely replace. At least that's what our research finds out up until now. Our respondents were quite clear when it comes to the opportunities and challenges that AI poses. So amongst the opportunities, as I was saying, it's allowing us to focus more on the governance or the strategic side of the professional tasks. It's allowing us to be faster, save time, use AI for translation, for writing help. But there are major challenges, including anything to do with regulation, privacy, trust, anything to do with oversight, also issues around bias, because it's inbuilt, you're inputting it, the output that comes out is based on the input that was human-led. So there can be biases, there can be stereotypes, and of course there's a copyright issue. There's one interesting figure, or we call it a spider chart, is what I thought I will show, because that kind of penetrates and suggests how AI has moved into the list of 21 tasks that we identified. But a word of caution here, even though the research looks at 21 tasks, we are in no way saying that PR is only a sum of all these tasks. Public relations as a profession is more than these tasks that are listed on the right-hand side. It's 100% more than that. But what we're looking at is which are the major tasks that are now assisted by AI. So that's what, as a word of caution, I want to point out first. So on the left-hand side of your screens, you see a spider graph, which shows the median task performance for each of these 21 listed activities. What is the median task performance? It basically is a midpoint, which tells you how many people were above that and how many people are below that. In a way of saying that how many respondents were clustered at one specific percentage. So it gives you the maximum clustered percentage. So you have spikes for each of these 21 tasks. The spikes move from the center core of the circle to the circumference. The center is 0%, and on the circumference, it's 70%. So when I was telling that the degree of assistance varies between 10 and 70%, so what you can see here, as for an example, so the red spikes are where the median task performance is 60% or above. So any activity. So if you look at, let's say, number 5, which is media monitoring, it's around 60%, which means that 60% is the amount of AI assistance that the respondents felt is in case of media monitoring. So the topmost activities were social media management. So social media management had 70% assistance from AI. The least activities, or the least assisted activities, I should say, were something like video footage analysis, crisis management. That means there's still a huge percentage of human control or human involvement within those activities. Interestingly, if I look at partnerships, the assistance from AI was 0%, which means the same thing that we were saying in the beginning, that forming human connections or forming human partnership cannot be AI'd, and that's what the research found out. As a part of the report, what we also did is we mapped the 21 tasks that we identified against the Global Capability Framework. Now, the reason why we have chosen Global Capability Framework is because it's an international framework that describes and scopes the role of public relations professionals. And more importantly, it is something that's commissioned and adopted by Global Alliance. So it was quite apt to talk about this one today. So Global Capability Framework basically gives us 3 sets of capabilities around which the public relations professionals role is described. The first one being communication, then you have organizational, and then you have the professional capabilities. So what we did, we mapped these 3 sets of capabilities against the 21 tasks that we looked at in the report. So what you see here is sort of a visual representation or visual chart to depict those 3 capabilities in a wheel form. The amber is for communication, green is for organizational, and then you have yellow, which is for professional. Each of these capabilities have then got 4 capabilities and then sub-capabilities, which I would make clear in the next couple of slides when I dig deeper into each one of them. But across the wheel, what appears is that there is a distribution of tasks that are assisted by AI tools, and they're majorly concentrated in the communication segment. The second one is organizational, but when it comes to the professional capabilities, the assistance from AI tools is kind of patchy. It's very light. So again, on the slide itself, you can see that we are always reiterating the fact that public relations is more than a set of tasks. It's more than just those 21 tasks. And I would, in the report as well, and across my presentation, I'll probably keep on reiterating that fact. So if we are matching against those 21 tasks, does not mean that we are anyway saying that public relations is all just about those 21 tasks. It's definitely more than that. It's only that we are looking at the tasks that are massively assisted using AI. So if I drill down on the communication capability specifically, you see a wheel, a new one here. In the middle, you have the label. So the center circle just tells you that this is the communication capability wheel. The ring just immediately outside that are the 4 capabilities that come under the communication sort of spectrum. So they are listed on the Global Capabilities Framework. And outside that, you've got the sub-capabilities that come under the main capabilities. And the ring, which is the outermost one, tells you which are the tasks that come under each of those sub-capabilities. So if I, let's say, suppose, look at the capability, communicate effectively across a range of platforms and technologies, something that is between 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock on the wheel. So you can clearly see that there are a number of tasks that are listed against that, which means that AI assistance, when it comes to this specific capability, is massive. Also, interestingly, what we did on these specific wheels, we had tried to do a color shading. So you see on the outer ring that there is a darker area and then there's a lighter region. So the darker region suggests how much is the AI diffusion, what percentage of AI diffusion specifically in that region. So you could see that if the AI diffusion is like 60% or more, you're in the darker set. But if you move more towards the 9 o'clock, the color becomes lighter, which means that that particular task, you have lesser assistance from AI. So the whole purpose of designing this wheel was to show that, yes, there is assistance from AI tools when it comes to the set capabilities, but the assistance is the infusion of that assistance is kind of dispersed across different tasks. Not every task is massively assisted. They could be, 60% or more assistance, or they could be 10%, 20% assistance. So the assistance moves from high to a lighter sort of region. So that's communication. When we look at organizational, again, you have the similar sort of argument running. We begin with the middle circle, which is the label. Then you have the outer ring, which is the capabilities. Then you've got the sub-capabilities. And then the outermost ring is about what are the tasks that come under those, how much assistance is coming from the AI, the darker region, the lighter region. It's the same sort of argument, but organizational capabilities is much less assisted compared to communication. Also, what was interesting to see is the type of assistance. So if I specifically talk about facilitate relations and build trust, the kind of assistance that was received or done using AI tools was more tactical. Whereas if I look at something to do with build and enhance organizational reputation, that assistance was more sort of strategic. So it's slightly patchy compared to communication, but it's also the types of assistance kind of differs across the sub capabilities within this. Interestingly, however, probably the most starking one was this specific wheel for professional capabilities. So again, professional capabilities has 4 main capabilities, and it's got sub capabilities. But why this was most interesting is out of the 21 tasks that was assisted by AI tools, maximum of only 8 tasks appear for professional, which means that when it comes to professional capabilities or building your own CPD, etc., the assistance from AI tools is the least. So if I look at specifically between 12 and 3 o'clock, provide valued counsel and be a trusted advisor to senior management, AI is used in a more supporting role, which means that AI is now used to provide information. But when it comes to decision making, something like judgment is really, really important, and that cannot be AI'd. It cannot be supported or done using AI. And the most stark sort of observation here is that if you look between 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock, it's completely blank, which means when it comes to self-development, which is a CPD or leadership, there is nothing from AI. So there's no AI assistance there. It's completely blank. So what we are basically trying to say is that when the question of keeping organizations safe, crucial decision-making comes in, or when the question of non-quantifiable factors come in, such as ethics or CPD or leadership, that's where AI assistance is the least, or that's where something that you cannot use AI for. At least that's what the research is showing. So what we are suggesting is that the more the AI is used for decision-making, the more the human dimension is required or is needed for intervention. So to draw a few conclusions, I might be probably ahead of time because I haven't got anything from Shreya. So just to draw some quick conclusions around what the report has suggested is, of course, humans are needed more than ever, as I just going to reiterate the fact. So the more you use AI for decision making, the more intervention from human dimension is required. And the reason this is mainly required is because AI is full of limitations. AI hallucinates. It doesn't give you the exact unbiased sort of picture. It massively depends on what sort of prompt you've written, what sort of data you've inputted. So there is definitely a huge amount of limitation that comes from using AI. The other thing is that there are implications in the sense of not just transparency, but AI sort of could disenfranchise small voices. So what about someone who's less tech savvy or someone who's completely digitally unsavvy? So what about those people? So it could give powers to only a few segments in the population. Then there's a necessary call for thinking around legal issues, ethical issues, responsible use of AI, copyright issues. We don't recommend lack of transparency at all. So being transparent, respecting privacy are some of the most important takeaways, or something to always keep in mind, I would say. Because there's always a question around who's keeping the organization safe, who's making sure that the nature of society we create is unbiased, or who's looking at the nature of society we are creating, who's kind of commissioning these AI systems. Are they keeping in mind the brand reputation? Are we always keeping in mind, something around upskilling of junior practitioners and all? So we must all be aware of the potential misinformation and disinformation that AI brings in. Probably, I would say, if you're a starter, then start with small things. Start with something that is, less risky. Start with simple writing, simple illustrations. And perhaps I would give you a starting point is a list of a number of helpful resources from the panel. So as I began by saying, we kind of started putting together these resources in 2018, which just shows that AI has been there forever. So it's a list of reports. It also includes a couple of guides that we did in 2019 around skill development, something to do with ethics. Then we looked at a huge literature repository that kind of depicted how PR is scoring when it comes to other professionals, whether it was accountancy, whether it was marketing, whether it was medical professional. And then you have the most latest Humans Needed report, along with also the 2023 report on a massive list on, I would say, on AI tools and the impact on public relations professional. I'd like to end on a positive note. I would say I would take this as positive, that resistance is futile. AI is here. It will stay. So the best is to work with it in a responsible and ethical way, and live with it. I mean, if you resist, probably then it would engulf, but if you work with it, then it will take you in the positive stride. Right, I'm going to stop on that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Swati. We still have a couple of minutes. We've got a lovely, poignant, poetic note to end on, because it's true, everything that we like, the approach that we take towards it is what it will become for us. And there were so many interesting takeaways there from what you just spoke of, all the way from putting our mind to rest in a lot of myths and debunking the myths, and also a reality check on really what is it and where are we? And so many questions around ethics and bias, and all of these paint a picture, but that picture is not essentially black or white, but it's more gray. So thank you so much for that insightful session, Swati. I'm certain that the participants have had a lot of takeaways from that presentation. Our next speaker, without further ado for Career World Seminar, is a senior lecturer in strategic communication at the University of Johannesburg. Please welcome Ms. Carolyn Azionia. So over to you, Carolyn. Take it away.
Thank you so much. A warm welcome from Johannesburg. We're so happy that you've joined us from all over the world. We love our up-and-coming practitioners, and we've just come here to capacitate you, to have a conversation with you about AI. I know AI can be a very scary subject. Some of you are worried about whether you'll have a job, if you're still relevant, should you continue with your qualification? Is it a waste of time? Should we run into the hill? So we're just going to have a conversation. So we've just had a really high level bird's eye view of what's happening globally in terms of AI, its adoption trends, and the different capabilities that are needed to operate in an AI enabled world. We're just going to now zoom in on a particular context, which is the South African context. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my presentation. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. So this presentation is basically going to outline some perspectives we got from practitioners in the South African context about AI, okay? This research actually is a follow-on on a similar study which was done in 2018, funnily enough. So this was in response to 4IR actually gaining prominence in South Africa at around that time. And it was also adopted at the University of Johannesburg as a strategic thrust. And so we were interested, the students that I was researching this topic with, we were interested in the digital transformation of strategic communication practitioners. And so this year, the study was repeated with another group of honor students, and we wanted to understand how this issue of AI has developed or morphed into something else as a response to the explosion of ChatGPT, okay, and specifically generative AI. Okay, so in terms of our methodologies, both studies use the qualitative method, but I'm only going to be reporting on the results for 2023. Okay, all right. So we had 12 semi-structured interviews with experts, senior, mid, and emerging practitioners across the board. We had practitioners from non-governmental organizations like a UN agency. We had people from academia, government. We had a consultant. We had corporate and agency. So a broad range of practitioners. Okay. So there was a lot of information that came out in terms of the findings, but I just want to share something very interesting. So when we were trying to recruit participants for the study, we found that there were a lot of people who would agree to do the study and then back out when they found out that it was about generative AI. So there was a bit of intimidation in terms of the topic. People didn't want to engage with the topic. I think perhaps they felt that they were ill-equipped to talk about it. It's this kind of like nebulous topic in their minds, perhaps, I don't know. But for those who agreed to take part in the study, one thing that was clear was that ChatGPT was dominating the category. In fact, some people were equating generative AI with just ChatGPT, which is problematic because ChatGPT is not the only obviously kind of technology that rather brand that is used as a generative AI. We have different also types of generative AI, not just text-based AI. We have AI that can create video, audio, and so forth. Okay. So in terms of usage, we can just say that the context, or rather the participants of the study, were we had early adopters and emerging usage. So there was a dichotomy between people who had very advanced usage of generative AI, who were using it beyond ChatGPT, and these tended to be in the agency context, and that's to be expected, okay? So it was being used for content generation, press releases, ideas for ads, and so forth. And then, interestingly enough, senior government officials were also heavy users of different types of generative AI. So for me, that was quite interesting. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting that the government sector would probably be lagging behind, but they're actually using it for a number of different jobs, okay? Then in terms of policies and frameworks to govern how AI should be used in the organization, at the time of collecting data, most of the organizations either didn't have a policy in place or they were talking about having a policy in place, okay, in terms of governing the use of AI. There was one agency which actually had a very robust framework on how to use AI in an ethical manner. It had sort of like boundaries in terms of how it could be used. And it actually capacitated the employees on how to use it ethically, which is important. So in those organizations where there were no frameworks or where people had not been tacitly told to use AI, people were using it in ways that I would say sometimes put the organization in danger. So one of the interesting findings was that people didn't really think about the dangers of putting sensitive information onto these platforms. So what was important to them was the actual output, like, okay, I'm going to get this done. So in order to prompt or give it some background information, sometimes they would load sensitive information, which of course is problematic. then we only had one organization which had a policy not to use AI at all. And this was from somebody who was working for the UN. And that is because they handle a lot of sensitive information. So they don't, this person, the participant didn't even use it for personal uses, like it was just not worth the risk, okay? So there's a need to actually educate people about the ethical and privacy and security concerns of using generative AI. And I would encourage you, if you are an emerging practitioner, to be very careful about what kind of information you put when you're prompting ChatGPT or any other kind of generative AI. You might inadvertently share proprietary information, which could even bring your brand into disrepute. So just be very careful about that. And then also, there was this kind of, I won't use the word cavalier, but not always understanding that you cannot trust the output, that you need to vet the output. So the more sophisticated users of the generative AI were aware of this, that you can't just take what the output is. It still needs vetting, it still needs verification. And like Swati has mentioned before, it can hallucinate, and that's just a euphemism for ChatGPT and generative AI can lie. So you have to be careful about what you put out there, not just for reputational reasons for the organization that you work with, but also for your own personal brand reputation. So it's very important that you check, verify, and vet the output. And this speaks to the fact that AI still needs us, as was indicated earlier on. AI still needs us. It is sort of like a technology that we can use to augment what we're trying to do, okay? And so if we need to vet AI, it means that we need to read broadly and, you know, just ensure that we are able to detect when perhaps it is giving us an output which is not quite right. So I'll give you a simple example. As an academic, or let me just say with my also with my colleagues, it's easy for us to detect when a student has actually generated something using an AI and they just plonk it and they don't, I don't know, sort of like try and vet the information. So what I would say is it's important for you to read widely and try and master your domain so that you are able to correctly vet the output of the AI that you're using, okay? So in terms of, is AI taking our jobs? I think the point has been made that there are some tasks which will be automated, but what we saw from our research was that people saw this as an opportunity to automate those routine tasks and free them up for more strategic and creative roles, okay? So to illustrate that, one of our participants says that AI should complement and not replace us. And that is a caution that I would like to present to you as an up-and-coming practitioner, that you mustn't think of AI as something that will replace you. Think about how AI can augment what you're doing. But in order for you to do that, you have to learn how to use it in a responsible manner. And I think the point has been made earlier on, to be transparent about when and where you use it. And to ensure that you don't get lazy in terms of checking what you put out. Before you put it out in the public domain, just make sure that you are vetting what you're doing, okay? So what does this mean? For me, when I think of AI, and I think of it from, I'll use an analogy. So those of you who are gamers or who are aware of the video game Halo, one of the main characters, Master Chief, actually has an AI assistant called Cortana. And Cortana helps Master Chief in his daily tasks, Cortana gives recommendations on how to do things optimally, predicting situations so that Master Chief can basically get the best outcome. And I kind of envisage AI to be something like that, obviously when it is used responsibly and taking into account the biases that have been mentioned previously. And the fact that we have to actively maybe campaign to ensure that we have as much diversity included in how the AI is developed further to try and minimize those biases. But I think we need to remove the fear that is inherent, like sort of like a knee-jerk reaction that, oh, the AI is coming to take our jobs. I would encourage you to develop your skills, to try out different types of AIs and just move beyond ChatGPT, experiment and learn how to be a prompt engineer. And a prompt engineer is just somebody who's really great at prompting the AI, because that is a skill. It's not as simple as just typing it in. So it's sort of like, if you get really good at it, your output is also going to be quite good. So the only way for you to learn is through doing. Okay, all right. So yeah, a lot of our practitioners also felt that the AI is not going to take their jobs. It's going to make their jobs easier and augment their jobs. And they also felt that perhaps they need upskilling in order to use the AI more effectively for their day-to-day tasks. Okay, so I just try to do that very quickly so that we stay within our time. And that is basically the first part of my presentation. So now I just want to demonstrate how AI has been used by students at the University of Johannesburg. This was for a brief that I gave them. They were supposed to come up with a campaign to promote a South African brand called Makosa Africa. And I'm very proud to say that this team of students, or they call themselves New Echelon, actually presented their strategy to a group of industry experts from the Direct Marketing Association today. And it went very well. So I just want to show you how they used AI to actually create prototypes. So none of them are designers. And usually when we had this type of campaign, we would collaborate with our graphic design department from another faculty. But this year, we trialed using generative AI to prototype their designs, and this is what they came up with. So this was a digital human that they created. So this is not a video, but it actually plays, it has a script and it welcomes people on the Makosa Nike X collaborative website. You know, so this would be a new brand touch point. And then here's an example of the gear that they came up with, and I would actually buy this, and I'm sure a lot of you would also want to buy this. So this is what they came up with, and it was through just giving them a brief where they would be exposed to using the AI that they discovered and were able to come up with something of this nature. So that is why I'm saying I would encourage you, even if you are not getting opportunities within your learning, to on the side, as a form of developing yourself, to play around with different AI tools. Okay, so in conclusion, I would just like to say, I would like to say AI is here to stay. It's not going away. Every day AI is learning, developing, we're having breakthroughs. So it's important for you to try and keep up with the trends. Obviously, you will not master every single tool out there, but just try and identify those that are aligned to the career trajectory that you are interested in. Okay, and just keep yourself informed. So on LinkedIn, follow those groups or those people who are forever reviewing or critiquing these different tools, and don't be afraid to try them out, just privately and also in your work. And if you do use AI in your work, and if there's no policy in place, if you're already working, I would encourage you to go to your seniors and maybe have a conversation with them about creating a framework for the ethical use of AI. It's important for you to know how to use it so that it becomes just a safer, more transparent and responsible way of doing it. Okay, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Really, when you think about it, there's so much that we realize that we're putting ourselves in a box, sort of not really opening up because of fears, with the various aspects around a lot of these areas, and we sort of tend to go in that direction and form our opinions based on that. And I think you just, again, debunked a whole bunch of things. And I love how Swati's and your conversation sort of came together so very beautifully. So thank you. And moving on to the next part of the event, I'm opening the floor for questions. I'm going to invite again both of you to answer. I have a couple of questions myself, and we have a whole bunch of questions on chat as well. So I'm going to walk us through them. While I come to my questions, there is first a question for Swati. Based on your presentation, we can see that AI can be a great helping hand in getting our work done. However, there are people who would question credibility and quality as soon as they see that AI is involved. What is your take in this scenario? Who would accept AI for convenience, but there are other people like clients who are not giving it too much appreciation and credibility?
Wow, massive question there. And a brilliant question, I must say, because this is so important. I know when I was doing the research, we were chatting with people who would mention that, how do they disclose it with a client, and especially someone who's an independent practitioner, agency would think that if they disclose it, then would the client not start using it themselves? So, how would you ensure that they don't question your credibility and quality? I think the first point here is just like any sort of, because I come from an academic background and I think more academically in terms of guidelines and, legislations, is that if your agency or if you make that very clear with your client that you follow guidelines that strictly suggest that any of your output or any of the, whether it's a video, whether it's a content that you've produced is not 100% AI generated, that whatever you've given them does include your brand values and your brand guidelines and tone and voice of your brand. It's not AI's voice that you're giving them or producing. I think that's how you can add the credibility to your work, because you're ensuring the client that you might have used AI for a set purpose. And I must say there that if you have used AI, you must disclose it. Disclosure is, personally, I would say is a must. And I'm sure a number of you would agree to that. Even in the report, if you look at it, wherever we've used AI to generate an image or to do an analysis or anything, we have disclosed that this is the specific tool that we've used. But then anything that we produced is not 100% AI generated, because that's not my brand's voice. That's not my brand's tone, or, that's not my way of doing it. So if you have that sort of guideline and you have that sort of disclosure with your client, you're kind of building that sort of reputation with them that, things do matter. So I feel that in that sense, you can just, save on the credibility and quality question and build that sort of reputation, that your reputation matter to yourself. And that's the reason why, 100% using AI for anything and everything. And wherever you've used it, you've kind of disclosed it. So I'm sure that clients appreciate that.
There you go. Well, fielded on that one, because that's true. I think it's about keeping open lines of communication and really leveraging on what needs to be done versus what can be filtered out. The next one is how is PR practiced in European countries? And Swati, this is again contextual to you. It's a very wide, broad brush question.
I know. Well, two words probably came to my mind when I read that question. One was perhaps extra transparent and something that respects privacy. So we do have, I could somehow in the chat also read something to do with any, there was an act that was mentioned, which is specific to African nations, like the POPI Act. POPR, is that how you pronounce it? We've got GDPR. So, privacy matters a lot to European nations. Transparency matters. Maybe perhaps in the UK specifically, you would expect skepticism and tougher questions. One thing about European countries is also that there is a huge mixture of cultures. There is commonness and there is uniqueness. And I think any practitioner in Europe understand that sort of, distinction between the two. Where does it lie? How do you take the cultures in a way that it stays together, but you also understand the distinctiveness of them, but you respect everyone's sort of privacy and be as transparent. So as I was saying in the first answer, disclosure matters humongously, perhaps in Europe. Well, I'm sure it matters in other nations too, but specifically if I were to identify, so I would say privacy and transparency would be the topmost characteristics that would relate with practice in Europe.
Great. Caroline, I'm going to come to you with this one. How would you define responsible use of AI?
I think the first thing is just to reiterate that you have to be transparent when you've used the AI. And also, so transparency in this sense. So I'll give you an example from the research that we did. So the agency that we interviewed actually was quite transparent about how they use AI. They used it to save the client money, and the clients appreciated that. So for instance, to generate images, because it's cheaper, you don't have to really worry too much about copyright, and it's faster, So that to me would be a responsible way of using AI, where you are transparent, and this is in the context of an agency or that type of kind of exchange, where you are transparent with your client and you say, I'm gonna use AI to do the following, and this is what you'll gain when I use that AI. I think for me, I think the transparency is actually the biggest thing. And then also to vet the information to make sure that the output is actually correct and true, because you don't want to be a source of disseminating disinformation or misinformation. You understand? So for me, that would also include that. So vetting the quality and the veracity of the information, or rather the output of the AI, and being transparent.
Well, so when we look at improving PR industry in the AI world to make an impact in the new venture of technology transformation, both of you refer to segments of that. What is it that you think is the new wave or the new shift that's coming our way, and what is it that can actually make us move this needle in the right direction?
Sorry, can you please repeat that? I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? So the question is, what will improve the PR industry in the AI world to make an impact in the new venture of the new technology transformation wave that is hitting us?
What will improve the PR? Is it in the chat? Oh, what will improve the...
It is in the chat. Ralph Fajardo has asked a question on the new technology transformation wave and the ventures that are coming up in that wave. And what are we looking to improve in the PR industry in the AI world?
Well, I think whenever there's a new technology that comes, it's important for you to educate yourself about that technology. the responses that we tend to have with AI are very extreme. It's either people love it or hate it. And I advocate for more of a middle ground, and investigating it thoroughly to understand its pitfalls and its advantages. So for those people who were actually using AI in a dangerous way, they were not educating themselves about things like the privacy or the security, rather the security side of things. So I think it's important to just educate yourself with as much knowledge about different types of AIs, to even understand what the different types of AIs are that are out there. You know, that there's more than just generative AI, just to understand. Also, what was interesting in the research is that there were people who were using AI and they didn't realize that they were using AI tools. So just to educate yourself, I think that's the biggest thing, and understand, and then look at how you, using the capabilities that have been highlighted, look at how you can ensure that you have the right capabilities. And then also not just track the PR industry. So the mistake that we sometimes make in the comms industry is that we just look at our industry. And the nature of disruption and innovation is that it can literally come from any industry. So that means we have to be curious people who read and just go beyond the industry that we're in, and track different types of technology trends. And also, I think, engage with people from outside of our bubble. So I'm a big advocate of transdisciplinary lenses, and you can only get that by kind of creating links with people outside of your communication kind of industry. So that's my advice.
Okay. And there's so much insight there, and it also answers sort of the next question, which is, what is your take on the use of would you advise one to work with AI or just ignore it completely, even if it's clear that it's here to stay? I mean, both of them have answered this in equal measure. And I think the idea is to really work with it, look at it, you know, explore it, drive from a point of view of knowledge, which is also the theme of today's session, rather than just picking up on things that are in the background. The next one is, and Swati or Caroline, either of you can answer this. What is your take on the use of AI tools by public relations students to work on their assignments?
Right. I'll probably take that because I deal with students every day. They're the part and parcel of my life. So first thing, it kind of connects from the first of the previous question that you read out, Shreya, in the chat, which was about whether to use it or not to use it. And Caroline was giving a big nod, which I completely relate to, that you must use it. So even to students, my suggestion is that you should use it. Now, when it comes to assignments, okay, I'll give you an analogy. Do not think of yourself as an individual. Think of yourself as a brand. So your brand has a tone. Your brand has a voice. Just like that, an individual yourself, you have your own tone. You have your own voice. So when you're using it for your assignments, would you produce something that's 100% AI generated? As a brand, you have to save your reputation. So as an individual, you have to save your reputation. So the answer is no. Use it for something that would up your game. So use it to brainstorm, use it to research, use it to build your understanding, for translation. That would make your work or life more productive, not something to replace you in the assignment. So that's my answer, that, you know, it has to be authentic. So work as a person, work as a company that, you know, you're always working towards your reputation, whether it's your brand or whether it's yourself. So do not completely replace your work with an AI. Use it for more productive purposes. Is that what I would tell the students?
The next question, which is again interesting, but I feel like both of you have gotten deep into it, which is use the context of the definition of responsible use of AI. How would you define the responsible use of AI? I think Swati, Caroline, you both have answered it. There are a lot more questions, so I'm trying to filter those that probably need more of a deeper look at. Based on your presentation, so this one's for Swati. we can see that AI can be a great helping hand in getting our work done. However, there are people who would question your credibility and quality as soon as they see that AI is involved. What is your take in this scenario?
So
Where,
we've answered this one in the
yeah, exactly. Completely, right?
we've
So
covered this one.
will the POPI Act not assist to ensure that the output is ethical when using generational AI? You've also referred to that, both Caroline and you have spoken. But Caroline, would you like to add anything?
Well, for me, the act is legislation that tells us how to manage data and process it and all of that. But it comes down to the individual. So the act is there as a framework, but enforcing it or rather working according to it within an organizational context is up to an individual and the organization. So for instance, in our context, it is something which is taken very seriously. We've gone through training and, we've been educated about it. So it is not just an act and something which is on paper. It is being brought into the organizational context, and it's being lived in how we actually interact with students, how we handle their data and all of that. So yes, it's lovely. We've had this act. This is now, or this type of thing out there. But despite having acts we've seen around the world, that we have organizations that have violated those, specifically in the communication industry. So the presence of the act is not enough. You still need a framework that is speaking to your context within the organization and takes into account that you're going to have people of different levels of understanding within the organization, and you need to actually train them how to use. Don't assume that they know because there's a POPI Act in place. You still need a framework that will help people within that organization to do it. So, yeah.
Great. The next one is, how will AI use the given sensitive information logged into it to a disadvantage? Either of you.
What really comes in here is the reason why we say that to not put in sensitive information, because you probably would be violating or breaching on confidentiality and privacy. And that's the whole, that's the whole point around disadvantage. So if as soon as you input that, you have, legal repercussions, and, when Caroline was mentioning about the POPI Act. So I think that's the disadvantage here. I would say it's sort of a brief answer. You're probably reaching on confidentiality with your client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The next one is, as a PR practitioner, adopting new technology into work is great, but it's really time consuming when you check the data and add manually, which is not there. So what is your take on this?
Okay. If I'm correctly understanding this, you mean, are you trying to say that, is it about checking data and adding it manually to one of these AI tools? If that's the case, then
yeah, I think so.
The answer here would be then there are a huge number of plugins. So I know GPT-4 has subscription. It does require paying for it. But if you have that sort of subscription that allows you to have plugins, which means that you don't have to manually input anything. You just give it a file and it does it for you. So so something that Caroline did mention during her presentation is upskilling. So learn to, if you start getting, perhaps an hour a week, which I think is it's quite low in time. You need more than an hour nowadays, especially with the number of tools that are coming up every week. If you keep working with these AI tools, and I would also say that, have sort of a group of network of people where you could interact with each other in terms of how you use it, so that that, what can you do with these tools. So I think this question kind of is probably dated, because you don't have to manually do it anymore. You can just plug in the files and it just gives you what you need.
Yeah, I know, Carolyn and Swati, I have a couple of questions from me to you guys, but the chat is super active with a lot of questions. So Caroline, coming to you, is it effective to use AI to deal with crisis management?
Yes, so you use AI to track sentiment, so yes. And with some of the more sophisticated AI, they can kind of predict this came out in our research, can predict where the conversation is going to go. And then you can proactively come up with a strategy to contain the crisis. So yes, definitely. Okay.
Okay. It's also scary how these SEOs are able to pick up what you want to say even before you start typing it, guys. That's so.
And
Yeah, so go ahead.
sorry, and that's because it's predicting. That's how AI, that's what AI is. It predicts the next word when it comes to content or anything. So AI is all about predictions.
Yeah. What skills and knowledge are required for PR and communications professionals to effectively work with AI tools and technologies?
Well, that's kind of a very broad question, I would say, because it's almost like asking that, is there a way to read a book on prompt engineering? So I would, there's a Professor Ethan Mollick. He's at Wharton Business School. And well, by the way, I would recommend following him on the social media. And he kind of every day he prompts out things, how he's used ChatGPT. And I think he was mentioning that it's almost like thinking that, you can get probably a better manual for your garden work than compared to a manual for AI. So there's no specific sort of, when it comes to skills and knowledge, but I would give a shout out to the professional bodies here, that, probably you should be a member of a professional body, because, they I'm sure they would be coming up with any sort of best case scenarios, or a case bank, or a sort of, ethical codes, or other sort of, like the global capabilities framework. So when it comes to specifically public relations, CIPR, I know is one of the bodies, PRCA, and then you've got Global Alliance. So, those kind of networks would allow you or understand, what sort of knowledge and skills are required. And then, of course, your formal education is the way out, probably.
Yeah.
I'd like to just add something.
Yes, yes, Caroline, I was just coming
I
to.
think you have to have this perspective of lifelong learning, and to be teachable and curious and willing to try out new things. I think you have to have that mindset, and to overcome sort of that idea that, you get paralyzed by fear. I'll just give a simple example. For a long time, we've had this notion in the communication space that numbers are not for us, and we are supposed to be afraid of numbers. And it's actually not true. Numbers are sort of like repositories of knowledge and story and insights. So I would encourage you to not be afraid to explore the world of AI, and find out what those skills are. So go and do your own research, but it requires you to be teachable and curious, and understand that you're always going to be learning. That's just going to be the reality. All right. Yeah.
Great. Now I'm going to switch this into a little bit more of a rapid fire so we can take all of the questions. So just a phrase, maybe 2-3 pointers for each question. Won't AI increase the digital divide, especially in the developing context we live, where even our universities may not be up to date technologically?
Well, the short answer is yes. As a rapid fire, yes, it would. The governments are looking into it. Educational institutions are looking into it. But yeah, that's the sad truth behind.
Yeah. How can AI be leveraged to enhance the effectiveness of public relations strategies and campaigns?
By making us more productive.
Okay, and Caroline?
Yes, I think that's the only thing I can think of, productivity, in terms of us saving time, giving us ideas, when you're stuck, helping us to maybe look at things in a different way. So yeah.
Okay, great. What ethical considerations should be taken into account when integrating AI into the field of public relations? Top 2, 3 each.
Just somewhere in the line that don't think what you can do, think about what you should do.
That's very good. I like that. Yeah, just think about the reputational implications of how you're using it. So don't think short term, think long term and consequences. Should I post this? If this, if it comes out that I've done this, will I be able to live with the consequences?
Great. That really makes you wonder, like, how much of this is clouded because of what you've been hearing and reading. Okay, so how far is the reach of AI tools of big tech companies as an ad can pop up about something you were thinking or talking about before you even search it on the internet? That's a very technical question, and I think
I
it's
would
also,
say that.
yeah.
I think how far is the reach? I think it's probably unimaginable is the word that
Yes.
comes to my mind. We don't know that. It's, yeah, sometimes I speak up something with my partner and all of a sudden it pops up on Facebook and I'm thinking, is anyone hearing me in the house, or, what's happening and why is that so? So I'd say you can't imagine the reach.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
very far reaching. If you think about how much money has been thrown into AI since, well, ChatGPT didn't come into existence in November 2022, but it came to like, it's trended from that time. A lot of money has been invested by these big tech companies simply because it's a game-changing technology and it's already being applied to Microsoft, to search engines, to try and dominate the market and keep their competitiveness. So it's actually quite far-reaching and it will continue to be.
Yeah. How can AI affect people's cognitive development? Can it have a negative or a positive effect?
Sorry, say that again, Shreya. I lost you.
How can AI affect people's cognitive development? Can it have a negative or a positive effect?
I think it depends on how dependent you become on it.
Yes.
Don't lose your individuality, I would say, then if it would have and then of course, if if you're more into a responsible use, then it adds to your cognitive development, I'd say. If you understand the good and bad side of it, then it adds to your cognitive development. But if you're just using it to, like, I'll bring the example of students here, if you're just using to finish your assignments and to get done with it, then of course it's not adding any value. So use it to your own stride, I would say. It depends that way.
Right. And the last one, could you please repeat the name of the professor who shares prompts?
Professor Ethan Mollick.
Yes.
So he doesn't just share prompts, he also shares about the use of AI, whether it's Claude, whether it's ChatGPT, how he tries out new plugins. So you can follow him on Twitter, you can follow him on LinkedIn. So he's a professor at Wharton Business School, Penn State.
Great. Okay. So with that, I have one last question to both of you since we're speaking about students. Caroline, I'll start with you and then Swati, I'll come to you. How do you think students should be capacitating themselves from a generative AI perspective?
Like I said, just to conclude and reiterate, you just have to expose yourself. You need to try them out. Discover every month, just give yourself a target to master at least 1 or 2 generative AI tools, and not just text, like tinker around with maybe text to video, text to audio, try creating stuff with it. Even if you're not going to share it with anybody, tinker around with it and the different types. So that's what I would say.
Yes, and Swati, what do you think is the next call for professionals and professional bodies from a student point of view? What is it that we can do to, enable and empower us to communities?
I think the main call for them would be to create sort of a use case, bank of case studies and best use case scenarios, I would say. Ensure that there's a structured training, especially CPD for students, for professionals. Also sort of set standards for them and probably revise on the code of ethics around AI so everyone's more aware. I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise on my laptop. Perhaps it's overworked. It's asking me to stop somehow. It's again and again. So I hope my answer was audible to everyone.
Yes, we could hear you loud and clear. It was a lovely message too. So with that, everybody, we come to the end of our segment here, and what a pleasure it's been. So let's put our hands together and give a warm round of applause to our wonderful speakers today, Swati and Caroline.
And to you and Anna as well. let's say.
Thank you. We've learned a lot from the
Thank you.
presentations and also the engagement. The questions kept coming. So thank you, students, for keeping them coming and keeping us, honest. Some real takeaways really to think about what is it that we really want to do with this, because this is accessible to us. And I think just like any tool, it's got both the pluses and the minuses, and it's about leveraging that for the best outcomes possible. With that, I would also like to thank Global Alliance for giving this opportunity for me to be able to moderate this with such incredible speakers. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's enjoy the rest of the webinar with our Jobs World session together, different panelists from around Asia. That's it from me, Shreya Krishnan, and we're signing off. Thank you, Caroline, and thank you, Swati, and thank you, Anna.
Thanks, Shreya. Thanks, Anna.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Caroline.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We have stellar speakers from England and South Africa, and of course, moderated by our friend from India. Just to give you an idea, we have both doctors in the house, so they're really good in sharing all these things, and we appreciate it so much. And of course, we have Shreya. I just remembered I was in India. Some weeks ago, where World Public Relations was held. And you know what, guys? She was a very great moderator there in front of 600 professionals around the world. She did an amazing job and caliber of presenter too, just like our speakers. So in behalf of Global Alliance, I'd like to thank the both of you, Swati and Caroline, and of course, Shreya, for making this so meaningful to our students and young practitioners. I know our students have so many questions, young practitioners too. And you can, we can give you the information. No, just joking. You can find them at LinkedIn and ask your questions directly to them, because they would love to attend to your questions, because I've seen so many questions and not everything were answered because we're short of time. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And please stay tuned. We will just have a 3-minute break, because there's another session that we will be covering, and that's Jobs World. Now, what about Jobs World? This is just a discourse on some pointers on, if you are in the industry already, if you are already in the field of public relations and communications, what are you to do? Our speakers, there were 5-6 of them, would share with you some tips, and also probably answer some questions about AI as well. Because if you think we are running short of time for this discussion with Swati and Caroline, then we still have time later on. So thank you, everyone. Stay tuned, and let's wait for the next leg, which is the Jobs World.
Thanks, everyone. Anna and Shreya, thank you so much. I'm going to drop out now.
Sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. It was lovely talking.
Bye.
Mm.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm just adding the panelists. Just wait 2 minutes and then we will show the Global Alliance video and then we start our webinar.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you both.
Thank you.
Okay.
This October, Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communications Management is putting together a series of activities that will give students and young PR practitioners a better understanding of the most pressing issues in the industry today. Now, these activities, which are under our banner of No Movement campaign, will form part of this year's celebration of Student and Young Practitioner Month. For this undertaking, our ultimate goal is to help further stir the hearts and minds of young practitioners who are looking to join the ranks of PR professionals right around the world. To do this, we will assist PR students and young practitioners in expanding their knowledge and networks. We will also share with them inspiring stories so they could have and will have a greater appreciation of the PR profession. Now, our speakers, many members of the academic and industry practitioners, are all experts in their field, and they will help explain the vital role that young practitioners and students will play once they join the industry. That said, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to join us in making this year's celebration for Student and Young Practitioner Month a success. To our regional councils from Asia Pacific, Africa, Europe, Latin America, North America, and the Middle East, South Asia, I'm counting on your support again this year to make this endeavour happen for young students and young practitioners. On behalf of Global Alliance, I wish you all the best, and I again encourage you, each and every one of us, please join us for Student and Young Practitioner Month during October 2023. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Justin Green, President and CEO of Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communications Management. I'm here today to tell you some very important news. This October, Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communications Management is putting together a series of activities that will give students and young PR practitioners a better understanding of the most pressing issues in the industry today. Now, these activities, which are under our banner of No Movement campaign, will form part of this year's celebration of Student and Young Practitioner Month. For this undertaking, our ultimate goal is to help further stir the hearts and minds of young practitioners who are looking to join the ranks of PR professionals right around the world. To do this, we will assist PR students and young practitioners in expanding their knowledge and networks. We will also share with them inspiring stories so they could have and will have a greater appreciation of the PR profession. Now, our speakers, many members of the academic and industry practitioners, are all experts in their field, and they will help explain the vital role that young practitioners and students will play once they join the industry. That said, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to join us in making this year's celebration for Student and Young Practitioner Month a success. To our regional councils from Asia Pacific, Africa, Europe, Latin America, North America, and the Middle East, South Asia, I'm counting on your support again this year to make this endeavour happen for young students and young practitioners. On behalf of Global Alliance, I wish you all the best, and I again encourage you, each and every one of us, please join us for Student and Young Practitioner Month during October 2023. Thank you.
My camera is not coming on.
Welcome to the second session of this webinar. Before we proceed, again, the participants are reminded of the following. Please complete the session so you can get a certificate of attendance from Global Alliance. All participants who will be able to complete the 2 sessions will be given access to all the materials that were presented during the webinar. You will also get notifications and updates from Global Alliance as to the link for internship and job opportunities that will be launched in November this year. There will be another session scheduled on October 27 for Latin and North America region. For those of you who are interested to participate, please register through the links flashed on your screen. Or you can also visit the Global Alliance Facebook for more details. And at this point, we would like to request for the organizing chair of this year's Student and Young Practitioner Month to start the session, Ms. Ana Pista.
Hello, hello, students and young practitioners. Welcome back. How are you all doing? I'm hoping you find this day very productive because all topics and discussions are timely and relevant. I know you'll agree with me in saying that all these are beneficial for you as a future practitioners in this industry. Moving on to the next part of our seminar, I would like to turn the floor over to Ms. Irene Lungu-Chipili. This lovely lady is the president of the Zambia Institute of Public Relations and Communication. She will be our moderator for the Jobs World session. Without further ado, let us all welcome Ms. Irene Chivili.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening. I welcome all of you from all over the world to this very interesting conversation we are going to have. As Anna said,
you cannot start your video. I don't know.
Dr. Ono, can you please mute your mic, please? So I will just proceed, and I was basically welcoming everybody to this Jobs World webinar, where we will have very interesting conversation, I'm sure, for you as students and young practitioners. Will be able to ask a panel of experts to share their experiences while working in PR fields, related fields, which includes areas such as investor relations, advertising, marketing, media relation, among other fields. The end goal of this session really is to create a community of like-minded individuals whose members share and exchange views on how well to do better in this chosen profession of public relations. I really hope by the end of this session, we'll all have an idea of what jobs look like, what jobs are available across the world, and also to give us insights on how best we can assess these opportunities in order to explore alternatives for career options, to socialize and network with fellow job seekers, to meet employees who would appreciate our profession as PR people, and also by the end of this session, I hope that you will have all received sufficient insights to just give us snapshots into what the job market look like and what the issues really are for PR people in order to prepare ourselves for working as PR practitioners, as students and young professionals. Allow me to introduce a high-powered delegation of panelists that we have to guide us through this conversation today. And carrying on from the previous conversation that we had in the session that just ended, we received insights into how issues such as artificial intelligence is impacting on our work as public relations today. And with the advent of AI, as we have heard, are there still jobs for PR people? What does it mean for us as PR practitioners? To shed more light into this and the findings on the survey that we're going to be discussing into greater detail, allow me to introduce our panelists today. I'll start with Ms. Renee Benek, who is an associate professor at the university. Thank you. Who is an associate professor at the University of Johannesburg. Her specializations include experiential learning, public relations and communications. She's coordinating various work integrated learning placements for students and community engagements. She also mentors students' public relations associations, the Students' Public Relations Association. She served as president of the professional body of the Public Relations Association of South Africa, PRISA, during 2019 to 2020, and also holds the portfolio of education, training, and research. Renee believes in providing students with opportunity to make a difference in society through their experiential learning actions. So you can see the vast experience that will benefit from her as a speaker today. I'll also proceed and introduce our second speaker, Ms. Roskana Obushowska. She is a communications, I don't think I got the last name correctly, but Roskana is a communications professional with almost 10 years of experience working in the fields of corporate communications, public relations, internal communications, branding, and employer branding and customer relations, largely in international organizations. She is the vice president of the board of the Polish Public Relations Association and a member of the European Council of Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communications. She is also the vice president and member of the board of the Polski public relations. So welcome, Roskana, and I'm sure we look forward to benefiting from your wide expertise. Next, I will go ahead and introduce Dr. Wale Adamolekan, who is an associate professor in the Department of Mass Communication at Elizabeth University, all the way from Nigeria. He is the author of several books, book chapters, and journal articles on public relations and media arts in Nigeria. He has more than 40 years of experience in corporate communication in the downstream, all sector, microcredit administration, as well as social political development and strategic communication. So you can see how wide experience he has. Dr. Wale, we look forward to having this conversation with you today. Lastly, but not the least, allow me to introduce Sylvia Atol, who is Vice President of the Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communication. As we know it, we already heard from the video, we are representing over 360,000 professionals across the world. Sylvia is also Head of Communications for the Global Functions, the Technology and Operations Performance Division of BNP Paribas, the European Zone's leading bank, which is operating in 71 countries across the world. She has over 20 years experience in communications, corporate social responsibility, marketing, and journalism. Sylvia is also the founding president of the Spanish Women's Executives Club in Paris. She studied information sciences and journalism at the University of Navarre and a master's degree in communication and corporate communication from TBS School Business in France. In 2021, Sylvia was awarded the Astor Communications Prize by ESIC Business School in Madrid for her career and her commitment to the profession. An example of female talent, leadership, and her contribution to enriching relations between Spain and France are quite wide and advancing. So please welcome our 4 powerful speakers today, and I'm sure we will benefit from this conversation with them. We will allow for comments and questions at the end. So as they present or respond to some of the questions that will be posed to them, I'll encourage you to contribute some of those questions in the chat box, or indeed present them at the end. So welcome, panelists, to this very interesting conversation that we have. So I think we'll straight away go into the questions, just this conversation that we have. I will start with you, Sylvia. I think we have had this conversation around the survey. It's been presented. The latest global survey reviewed that the PR profession can actually be considered as a billion-dollar industry profession. From the survey, we have been informed that the US, for instance, the United States of America, is topping the list with at least 17.5 billion in terms of economic value and employment opportunities that have been created. The average salary ranges from $10,000 to $74,000. I'm sure that's very inspiring to our students and young professionals to hear those figures. This may be considered as one of considered bigger than many other sectors. So Sylvia, do you think that this will still be the case in the next few years with the introduction of automation and the proliferation of artificial intelligence tools in public relations work, as we heard from the previous session that we had? Just give us your thoughts on that. Please go ahead, Sylvia.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon to everybody. So yes, absolutely. So PR industry is important. You say it in the survey. It's $1 billion industry, and US tops the list. And in terms of AI, US is the leader also, because US leads investments with $250 billion, China with $95 billion, and UK 18 billion dollars. This is Stanford sources. And according to researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, PR professions are threatened by AI. But I would like to quote Jack Ma, Alibaba founder, who said that technology is not going to take away human being jobs. Technology is going to replace stupid jobs, as internet did. I mean, internet created new jobs, and new jobs will be created with AI. Actually, artificial intelligence is the tool of the future, and we need, dear friends, to adapt to it, because we are going to be impacted by AI. The main PR jobs that are going to be impacted by generative AI are, I would say, 4 of them. I mean, I will say in terms of editorial, advertising, video producer, e-reputation, but we have to pay attention and use them carefully. For, of course, writing articles, speeches, social media posts, translations with ChatGPT. You know, we have 180 million visits per month, but ChatGPT is not accurate. I mean, there are problems of accuracy, relevancy, and we need critical thinking. We need to pay attention also to that data protection, data lakes. In terms of advertising, we can see that we have AI producing image generation from text with Midjourney or DALL-E, Stable, Firefly. We can have incredible creations in terms of advertising, and also in terms of performance, because we can target campaigns and according to algorithms, like in TikTok. But still, human brain is needed, because we need to, I mean, give the good instructions to the AI, the bias, and there is the problems of copyrights also. In terms of video producer, also very, I mean, we have a huge impact. Transcriptions much more easy with coca2.com, for example, but still deepfakes. Pay attention to these videos that you don't know if it is real, it is fake, it's I mean, influencing the opinion. And in terms of reputation, like I mean, companies like Brandwatch to specialize in trend analysis on social network. I mean, it is key. These tools, AI tools, are key to detect fake news, note ethical behaviors, but they can also produce not ethical behaviors like astroturfing or this fake crowds effect created technologically to guide public opinions. And we need to know that, and we need to know how to counterattack this. So AI is going to help us PR professionals to do our job better. There will be natural job opportunities. expertise oriented, we will need data analysts, UX designers, engineers, AI ethics specialists, automation consultancy, and so on. But of course, we can concentrate on more valuable tasks because AI is going to do the stupid task. And we need human action, human expertise, and critical thinking is required. Strategic thinking is still required to anticipate, to decide how to use these tools. There are human capabilities that cannot be replaced with AI: empathy, creativity, integrity, common sense, which are key for successful PR strategies. Because communication, you know, is a strategic function.
Sylvia, I want you to go ahead and give us some comments regarding, I see from your profile that you have done a lot of work around the area of pushing for leadership and progression around the issues of women within the PR profession. From the survey, do you think then that from
Sorry, I cannot hear you. Hello, I don't have any sound actually. I don't know if there is a problem only with me.
I think hi Sylvia, this is Anna.
Okay.
I think we've lost Irene,
Okay.
probably some technical issues from her end, but probably we've gotten that you have so many advice on how we should be taking this AI thing, you know, as discussed earlier. This will not replace us, but will displace us, our work. So now I'd like to from the survey, it says here about the salary. It says here that a person in for example in how should I put it, earns 74,000 in Ireland, for example. A practitioner earns $74,000. New Zealand, $60,000. In Kenya, $12,000. Now, will AI affect the salaries of the people since it's going to displace some of our works? Not really replace us, but displace us. So there's a question on what's your take on the salaries when it comes to the advent of AI?
So, I mean, it will affect jobs, of course, and it will affect, of course, salaries, because when you have a new job and you look for expert people in terms of technical capabilities, of course, they are rare, not that much. So, of course, the demand will increase, and we will lose jobs in terms of I mean, still PR is a strategic function. We need strategic vision, head of communications, and we can see that we have, according to the seniority, higher levels of salaries, and it's a trend, and we can see that in countries like in the States or in Ireland. I mean, the salaries are higher because the importance of the PR industry is higher. But of course, I mean, new technologies will be related to the technological expertise. But I would like Roxana, because I think that Roxana has also views on this.
Yeah. Yes,
hello.
Roxana, can you tell us about that question? Can you answer that
Hello.
question?
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. So actually, I can only build up on what Celia said, because I think it's a great opportunity for us, for PR professionals, to get ahead of the tools AI is giving us today. I don't know if you are using, guys, ChatGPT in your daily job, but I sometimes use it, and actually it's very, very, very helpful. And what Sylvia said, it will never replace this human touch we need in our profession, this relationship building. And actually that's important. When it comes to salaries, I think it will impact it, but in this model that actually we are going to have new jobs within PR industry. So people who are going to work with GPT, for example, so they need to know how to brief this tool, how to get inputs from the tool. People who are going to know how to use speech-to-text technologies. People who are going to know how to use Google Analytics in advance. So we are going to have new jobs, and I don't think the salary will decrease. I think they will even increase, because with this kind of jobs, we need specific technological knowledge. So we are paying for this kind of knowledge. So I think that will happen in the future.
So it's short of saying that they will depend on high-level consultancy from us, so therefore they should pay us more. So yes,
exactly.
thank you, Roxana, on that one. Now, also according to the survey, there are 8 tasks or skills that are specific to all countries, that all young students and young professionals should be able to have a grasp on. These are strategic planning, crisis and issues management, media relations, event management, community relations, CSR, digital communications, and social media. Now, this is a question for everyone. What to you is the most important skills that our students and young practitioners should possess or should have in order to really do great in this PR and communications industry? Anyone can answer the question.
I would like to take the opportunity, thanks Anna, to get into the discussion. I think there's such a lot been said in our previous session as well as in this session up to now by Sylvia and Roxana. You know, very often we forget that there are certain common denominators when you look at any of these functions and these skills and these roles that our strategic communication and public relations people need to actually fulfill. And one of the key things for me is understanding where it is that we operate and what the context is all about. And that is where I believe AI will really come in to assist us with the insights and real understanding and deeper dive into what it is that we need to know about a context so that we can fulfill a better advisory role to leadership, may it be a female leader, a male leader, or whatever C-suite we are talking about, or the dominant coalition, whatever the name is that we are giving to other people that are making decisions. The role of a public relations professional, and that is what our students are aspiring to become, need to include a good understanding of what the functions and what the aims of public relations is. So if we are understanding the core constructs and the core concepts of what we are supposed to be doing, we can use the tool of AI to enhance that service and to become that sought after consultant advisor that can charge a higher fee than what Sylvia said, the stupid jobs, the small jobs that we have to almost eradicate, and that we can use AI to actually get there. So in my opinion, we need to understand what our role is in society, in organizations, to become a better practitioner, and not worry about, as such, what the tool is that we are using, but becoming the best practitioner and the best user of that tool.
Thank you so much, Renee. What about others? What can you give your take on that question?
Yes,
When
okay.
when it comes to okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let me start by saying that I'm sorry I couldn't connect immediately for one reason or the other. I'm sure that the discussant about artificial intelligence earlier on actually hit the nail on the head by actually explaining exactly what the tools are, what the challenges will be, and the fact that whatever it takes, artificial intelligence is here. The point is, we need to understand the objectives of our organizations better so that we can use those tools to achieve the goals for which our organization are set up. Because most times, a lot of our colleagues are not even as well grounded about the objectives and the mission of the organizations, to the extent that other people sometimes can actually surpass our understanding of those. So just like Rennie said, yes, we have to understand our profession, what the tools are for public relations, but at the same time, we need to be able to understand our organizations. And, one of the presenters said, or one of the slides said, the AI can look at the back, but most times they may not be able to the appreciation of the future or what the dynamics will be. And I think that's one area that I think we can, as public relation practitioners, um, showcase our expertise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wale, on that one. Maybe Roxana, you were about to say something a while ago on that question.
Yes, I wanted to say about what we need to know, what kind of skills we need as PR professionals. So, for me, strategic thinking is a must. We need to be able to see the bigger picture, and we need to be able to connect the dots. That's something AI can help us with that. AI can give us data, but we need to know how to read this data. We need to understand them, and we need to be able to use them for our purposes. So that is something for sure we need to have when it comes to skills.
All right. Thank you so much. There's another result on the survey that says that in terms of aside from expectations that should be carried out by a practitioner, there are also some threats that the industry is facing right now, and both the professionals and the profession and the practice. So, for example, in Canada, they have issues on misinformation and disinformation. In Puerto Rico, they have issues on AI and deepfakes. In China, for example, there's an issue on lack of professional personnel. So, what do you think should the young practitioners and student should look into when it comes to getting into the industry? Should they be threatened by this, or what are the things that they should be doing in order not to be threatened with all these things that's presented in the survey?
Maybe I would start. So sorry for that again, me. But I would say that we shouldn't be threatened. It's not a threat, it's an opportunity. So everything we are facing right now, everything what is happening, it's an opportunity for us to learn something new, to develop our skills, or to be better. When it comes to that information, for example, fact checking is the base. So we need to know that information comes from different sources. We need to be able to verify information. So we need to look for different sources. We need to do the fact checking every time. With AI, we already said that it's an opportunity, so we need to know how to get ahead with the tools. When it comes to lack of staff, we need to become better, and we need to maybe grow in numbers, but we need to educate ourselves and be better professionals. So as you can see, these are not threats for me. These are just opportunities for us.
Thank you.
For me, if I can complete, I'm quite concerned about all these things. I think it's a risk. Of course, it's an opportunity, but we have to be very serious in terms of propaganda and misinformation, and particularly in this context, which is very, I mean, geopolitical context, which is very, current now in Europe with all the wars and so on. So we have a lot of propaganda and misinformation here in Europe. So we need to be aware of that. We need to have, as Roxana said, critical thinking, and young practitioners must to be aware that not everything that we can find in social networks are true. That there are a lot of misinformation which aims to influence public opinion, and we need to be able to detect that. Okay, this misinformation, it can be from governments, it can be also it can be used also to break a reputation of a company with climate. We can see a lot of NGOs, not NGOs, but very activist in climate, doing things in order to fight again. Greenwashing. But I mean, this fight maybe influence people because are not true information. So we need to detect that, be aware that not everything is true, not thinking that is okay. We need education. So I think that academics have a key role to play to teach young students with deontology. I mean, to act with integrity and to not to use messages like this. The first message that I can find, I will use it, and I will like it, and I will relate, and to be aware that it can be a very it can be a weapon actually. Okay, so I'm quite concerned about that, because with artificial intelligence is very it's much difficult to detect what is right and what is wrong. It's more difficult. So an opportunity, as Roxana said, to be more prepared and to be more aware of this.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. There's a question here from our participant. Will AI not lead to overworking one person in more than one role? I work in the government in South Africa and was told that the vacant communication position within my company will not be filled, as I can use AI to fill the vacancy. So my question is, will PR teams be replaced by one or two people that use AI as supplementary resource? That's from Christella Lawrence.
Anyone? I think that it's a fellow South African. I would love to get that question. It's an excellent question, Christelle. Yes, the reality is that if an organization can save money in terms of the lower functions, if we want to call it that, or the routine functions of in public relations, they are surely going to save money. So the point that I tried to make earlier on in terms of the expertise, and as we've heard so far, the critical thinking that we need, the insight, the understanding of the bigger context, that interpretation, especially in our diverse society in South Africa, that is so important to actually position ourselves as communicators and public relations professionals, that we are able to present you with deeper insights than what the AI can. And use the AI again, as a tool, a critical tool to do the research, to find out what the sentiments are, to actually speak to a rural gogo who wants to just show that she is also capable of doing something in her community. So yes, the challenge is back to us as communicators and public relations professionals to not get stuck in the mundane run-of-the-mill media analysis, etc., functions of public relations, but in the deeper insights that we can provide senior and be part of the decision-making. I hope that answers your question, Christelle.
Yes, thank you, Renee. Wole, do you have an answer to that question as well? Okay, I don't know if we have, okay, yes.
The mic. I think the mic is not.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So probably we can ask Wole a different question. This is from Kwame Oponkwaye. How can AI be leveraged to enhance the effectiveness of public relations strategies and campaigns?
Okay, thank you very much. There's so much about AI today, and it is understandable that people are worried about how will AI affect their functions, affect their jobs, even their earnings. The truth of the matter is that AI is not even new. It has always been there. It came with all the technologies that we have on the internet and what have you. Look at Google Map, look at ask Google anything, look at Wikipedia, so many things. So a lot of the issues about AI today is the awareness and the new tools and the fact that everybody is keying into it. And therefore, what I would like to advise our practitioners, both young and old, is indeed for us to continuously hone our skills in doing our job as counselors, as strategic planners, critical thinking, and actually being able to analyze situations. Like the earlier discussant said about AI, there are things AI will still not be able to do, like empathy, like the human foibles that are really not predictable. It may make sense, may not make sense, but you can't really predict how people will react to certain things. And these are things that we, as human beings, have, I won't say mastered, but that we can easily react to it rather than some of those tools that we have been told. In fact, when we look at the analysis of Swati as to the various aspects of public relations, communication that AI applies to, it's like everything. And so my own advice is that if you do public relations as it should be done, communicating, researching, analyzing data, being transparent and accountable, and actually being able to foresee what are the new skills that are required for our profession. Those are the things that we make us either relevant or not relevant in the scheme of things. And so maybe when we get there, when we want to start looking at what are the prospects, what are those things that we need to do as professionals, maybe I'll mention some of them in terms of what are the trends today, and what are those things that we need to do more so that we can achieve greater results for our organizations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wole. That was very insightful. I guess this is a question to all of you. Part of the survey says that there are more women than men in the PR universe. So in terms of the industry, there are more women working than men. What's your take on this? Why is that?
Maybe I can say a word.
Yes.
I would say that women have same capabilities as men. Okay, this is very important to say, because they can handle stress, managing teams, creating PR strategies as well as men. PR communications industry, of course, is 70 female dominated, but you see at senior level, it becomes more male dominated. 1/3 board room positions are only taken by women. And this is quite general. I mean, it's not only PR industries, I mean, all industries. Why we have more women in PR? Maybe because of the listening capabilities, empathy, they are more social, more collaborative. I mean, this is more natural for women. And you have in technology, there are less women. I mean, technology is not sexy for women, but tech companies are, like Apple, Google, Facebook, and artificial intelligence is tech. So we need women. We need women to create. I mean, algorithms, to code, to develop, to manage these new tools. So it's a question of education. It's a question of culture. It's not a question of capabilities, because same capabilities as well. We need role models, women that are having high positions in technology, to show that I mean, they lead tech companies and tech tools. And I encourage young practitioners, women young practitioners, to integrate the technological, I mean, branches, and to have education in order to really not show that PR is only for women, it's for everybody.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Anybody would want to answer that question as well? Probably Renee. What's your take on that? Why is it that there are more women than men in the PR and communications industry?
I'm giggling because I'm dying to say something, but it will be perhaps a bit of a tongue-in-cheek look at how we have portrayed our industry ourselves as women. I the other day was quite astounded that when I saw some graphics illustrating public relations, it was a very sexy looking girl who was on the forefront of this actual image of public relations. And I know very often there's this idea that public relations, as Sylvie said, is sexy. And it is when you want to become a celebrity, or if you want to become a fashion designer or a beauty queen, then you go and do a public relations course, because it will teach you how to speak, and it will teach you how to dress and how to do functions. And that's hysterically and historically what the legacy of public relations is. So unfortunately, that cannot be the legacy that we have in the future. It is because we are professional. We have a critical way of addressing our industry and make a mark in our industry that is important, and not the fallacy of it's this beautiful, high earning, fun profession. So we have to ourselves be very critical as to how we are going to and how we actually set up our industry. So I think it's a historical thing that we need to work against.
All right. Thank you so much, Renee. Yes,
Can I?
Wale?
Yes, thank you. Even just look at the composition of this panel. I'm just the only male among the ladies. But I'm not too sure that in our own context, in my country, that we have more women than men. This is because if you look at the genesis of public relations, most of them actually start off as journalists. And you know that journalism is not exactly as smooth sailing, if I may use that word, like public relations, meaning that to be a journalist and a reporter, you really have to be very hard, you know. It's 24/7, you go to all sorts of places, difficult times, it is rainy, it's not comfortable, you know, that kind of schedule. So given the antecedent of most public relations people starting as journalists, where you don't have too many women, most of the practitioners in my country, it could be 50-50. I wouldn't say that men are more. But more importantly, I think the younger generation, when you're looking at the younger generation, of course, we have more female practitioners. And the other thing is also that quite easily, a lot of the young professionals, they sometimes we say they can manage stress. Yes, they can manage stress. But honestly speaking, sometimes most chief executives, most directors, most management people can be very difficult. And when that happens, a lot of younger practitioners just want to chicken out. So I agree with you that yes, there are many female practitioners, just as there are many men. And then that brings us to the issue of one of the questions about maturity and then experience. And this also can be taken back to the issue of most of our practitioners being journalists before coming into public relations. Okay? And therefore, the most employers, when they advertise in my country, in Africa, for public relations practitioners, they will put there clearly that he must have media experience. And so we find a situation where most of the jobs are picked up by journalists. First, they have the platform, they have newspaper, radio, television, and most chief executives really wanted to see themselves on the radio, the front pages of newspapers and what have you. The only difference today is that both radio, television, and newspaper, everything has become, now have their online versions. So technology, internet, and a lot of social media are making a lot of these differences. So going forward, we believe that there will be more female practitioners, just as well as young men in the practice. After all, most people now work from home. Most people now do 2, 3, 4 jobs at the same time. And so the opportunities are increasing. The challenges are also there. But with AI and technology, I think the future is bright for public relations profession. In my country, we used to have mass comm as a course of study. Today, mass communication has been broken to 9 different programs, and public relations is one of them, meaning that people can actually graduate with the public relations bachelor's, but more for master's also, and then at PhD level. And that makes a lot of difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wole. I think you mentioned about stress, and I think in 2018 there was a survey that says public relations and the job in communications is one in the top 5 most stressful work. So, as PR professionals, what can you say about your respective countries, or how are you as a practitioner handle stress? And is it true that this is the most stressful work on the planet? Anyone can answer this.
I would think it is, because I would like to think that I can cope with stress, but I think it is a very stressful situation and career. And some research that one of my master's students, Hannah Newbold, that actually indicated exactly that, especially amongst young practitioners entering the job market. And I see we have some questions as to how do you get the experience that people look for, Ole, and you know, especially if we have to compete with journalists. But the reason why I think it is so stressful is because of the hours. And the expectations, and that you are, if you're in an agency context, you're always at the mercy of the client. And when the client wants something, they want it not within necessarily the working hours, they want it now. So it is a very stressful career, but I would imagine that many other industries also think that they are, you know, it's stressful. I think what is important is that we look at how we handle our mental stress, and how we as practitioners look after our own health as well, our mental health, and how we look at after the well-being of young practitioners, making sure that we, for instance, understand what motivates a young practitioner, and you know, how to keep balance, how to make sure that we work in relaxing times, hobbies, a balance. We work with a group of master students of mine is working on a study of well-being, and we picked up that there's actually 7 different pillars of well-being, and to really look at how, as a individual, our practitioners are not, and our professionals are not just there at the mercy of the organization or of the client, but actually that they have something very special and very unique to offer to a context and to an organization. And therefore we must look after their health and our own health as well in a very well-balanced way. And that should be worked into, Hole, in our educational programs, I believe.
Thank you, Renee. Okay, so there's another question here. How can PR and communications professionals stay competitive when other roles like bloggers and influencers are encroaching on our turf? Additionally, what should we read to stay updated on the latest PR trends? I think, Renee, you can start answering with that, and then we go to Roxana.
Staying relevant and, you know, is that what we heard earlier on, continuous education. We cannot just start and think that I have now my qualification and I've got some experience and I know some you know, quick answers to problems. I think continuous education, continuous personal development, stretching ourselves. And if we were ever wondering what AI actually can do, let's use AI to stretch our own imagination, to stretch our own skills, to use the capability framework to incorporate some of these skills that we can develop ourselves and for ourselves. And then I would also like to challenge our own professional bodies to actually have those entry skills, have those routes almost plotted for young practitioners so that they know what the various requirements can be and should be for this industry that they are entering. But it's about being actively and constantly evolving and part of, as I call it, the learning while we're walking the road, but constantly being active in walking that road.
Thank you so much, Renee. Roxana?
Yeah, so to build up on what Renee said, actually, we need to keep learning, that's true. But when you ask me what to read, I would say everything, because we cannot be only close to our field. We need to know what is happening in marketing. We need to know what is happening in geopolitics, in social economy and in societies actually. So we need to be up to date and we need to keep learning. But also what is, for example, because I know some bloggers and influencers entering the field of PR, and what I can see from their practice is that very often they do not have this knowledge required to do this job. For example, when crisis happens, they don't know what to do. So this is something where we enter as PR professionals because we have this knowledge. So we need to keep on studying and keep on learning on new things and based on our knowledge and then experience, because this is something what we know what to do when crisis happens, for example. So this is our power.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Roxana.
Can I?
Yes, okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I also think that we need to encourage the young ones to work with mentors, to approach experienced people and learn from them. Most young people, when they finish, they just want to set up their own agency. I think that's not as easy as it sounds. So mentorship. Then the issue of internship when they're in the university, like in my university, from 100 level to 400 level, every long vacation you are expected to work in a related firm. And when you come back, you're going to write an essay or make a presentation of your experience. I think that also will help. Also, like one of the speakers earlier mentioned it, that public relations professionals should not run away from the use of data. Data rules the world today. And with data, you are even in a better position to convince people, because data actually makes your job easier. Data, graphics, and stuff like that. Also, a lot of people say, how do I know you have added value to this organization? So we need to worry about measurement so that we see the impact of our contributions to the bottom line. Okay? Any business will worry about, oh, I'm putting so much money in public relations. So what am I getting for it? So we need every step of what we do to be able to measure it. And then we need to worry more about quality over quantity. So it is not how many things we do, but what is the quality? What is the value? What is it that we're bringing to the table? And of course, the issue of trust. Trust is becoming an essential commodity. Nobody trusts government. Most of our organizations, when we come out with campaigns, a lot of people don't really believe what we're saying. So we need to work seriously on our reputation, on trust, and then of course, we need to, as much as possible, understand the need for us to fight fake news, disinformation, misinformation, and sometimes malinformation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very good answer, Mr. Wole. Now, there's a general question for everyone. For those who wish to seriously pursue a career in PR, can you please share a few tips on what particular skill sets or abilities that they should master or train for? I think everyone can answer this. Let's start with you, Wole.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the public relations profession is all embracing. For example, when you function in an organization, you are supposed to be the problem solver. Now, when the management, when they are taking certain decisions, they don't even consult you. Yet, once there's a problem, they say, go and call us, the public relations or corporate affairs or whatever name they call it in that organization. And at that point in time, they don't expect you to begin to complain, oh, you didn't involve me when you were taking this decision. You have to solve that problem. Meaning that, as Renee and other contributors have said, we need to constantly renew, increase, and improve on our knowledge of society, environment, the profession itself, even other professions like legal profession in an organization. What is it that that organization does? Even if it is a technical organization like engineering, like aviation, whatever organization it is, we as public relations persons should understand what that organization does and the basic principles of how it operates. And so a lot is expected from us. And we believe that training and retraining has to be part of it. And more importantly, we have to invest in ourselves. Most of us depend on our organizations to train us, to send us for programs, to pay for our professional dues and stuff. Now, if you limit yourself to that, you may not grow as fast as well as you should. So you should invest in yourself so that use your own resources to develop yourself. What that does for you, it places you in a vantage position because you are increasing your knowledge, you are having a better networking opportunity, you are also being recognized as experts. And when your organization see the value that you are bringing to that organization, you are far, far more willing to promote you more than they would have done if you were just waiting for them to do that. And of course, you can never exhaust the issue of being creative and being embracing dynamism because things are changing every day. So you cannot afford not to understand what AI is all about. You cannot afford not to know what is happening on social media. You can imagine getting to the office or getting the message from your chief executive and telling you what is happening or what people are saying about the organization. And yet you are supposed to be the one in charge. So when people are talking about stress, when people are talking about the challenges of public relations, yes, it is real. But honestly speaking, if you build up yourself so well, at the end of the day, a lot of these things you can cope with it because you have a massive store of knowledge, connections, networking, and information that you can always use. Like if something is happening, you don't need to start from the scratch because there are materials here and there that easily pick, and there are points that you can quickly check, and you are on, and you are running with the issue, the resolution that everybody feels pleased with. And that will be my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wole. Roxana, what is the tips, a few tips on what particular skill set or abilities that they should master or train for?
Yeah, so I think that I mentioned that before. So strategic thinking, for sure. We need to be able to see the bigger picture. So we need to be able to connect the dots. So that's why we need knowledge and we need to know what is happening around us to be able to do so. What I said about the mentor, and I would say it's always a good thing to have a mentor, a person from whom we can learn and who can tell us what we are doing wrong or what we are doing best. And actually, that would be it. And critical thinking is mentioned by Sylvia. I would say these are the skills required for this and future PR profession.
And if I can complete what
Yes.
someone said,
Thank you, Sylvia.
It's to me are either strategic skills and operational skills. Strategic skills to have people able to have a strategic plan, communications plan from to identify the stakes of the business, the stakes of communications, the actions to implement the planning and according to a budget. This is a kind of a basic skill. Also operational skills like events, editorial, graphics, video. And what is important to me is to have reliable people who can do things from A to Z, okay, that don't stop because they have an obstacle. So they say, okay, either they alert to find a solution or they push to find the way to go until the end.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, on that one. Now, I think we can accommodate 2 more questions before we end the session. This question is from Jessica Bolazinga. How to enter the public relations industry as in entry-level position, recent graduate, when most positions require many years of experience? So I think I've seen two questions on in order for them to get into the public relations world and industry, they have to have 5 years of experience to get the job. So how do they enter in a position level like recent graduates? So this is a question from two participants.
So maybe I will say how I entered the PR professional world. So actually, I started with internships, free internships. I wasn't paid for it. I was doing work I'm not doing anymore, but it was internship. It was the first thing, and also mentor, because mentor can also help you to build your network, and with the network you can find a job for yourself. So and also, even if you see, for example, a job description, and you would like to apply, try to apply. Also, there are a lot of associations on the university you can showcase your skills on, and you can do a lot of things around and to showcase your professionalism actually. So I would start with that.
If I can complete also, I would say also a best practice here in France, which is alternate programs. I mean, you have your school programs, which are combined with working in a company. So, for example, in my team, there is a student who is having 1 week at the company, 1 week at school, 1 week at the company. Is very successful because in the end we can hire this person, so it's quite nice. And a second tip I will give is to go through PR associations like Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communications Management, but you have your national association, so go there. Be visible, try to network, and you will find jobs offers to apply for sure.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. How about Renee?
Yes, it's actually Jessica's one of my old students, a very successful student, and I'm sure she's talking on behalf of herself and some of our other students that are having very real challenges. And I appreciate and I fully agree with finding internships, but there's a different approach that I'm trying as well, and that is to instill in young practitioners the interest and the love for our profession, that they actually start doing it because it's part of their being during their study time, not to see a formal intern program or a work integrated learning program that we have as part of our qualification, not to see that as just an add-on, but that you position yourself, you gain expertise, as Roxana said, you go out and you find other jobs or other opportunities where you can build up your skills and acquire more skills, and then to have understanding of who is currently in the industry, being aware of who's opening a new agency, who's getting awards for the work that they are doing for brands. Be involved in what happens in the industry so that you can actually build your own expertise, but see it as an ongoing process, not at the end of or only when you qualify.
Yeah, thank you so much. Those were very good advice from experts here. Now, the last question is very intriguing. Why should I work, or why should I pursue working in a PR and communications industry?
Can I?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to add to what Rene and Sylvia said, I started as information officer. And that's just a routine kind of job, just give out information. And I discovered that I wasn't doing much. So all I did was to add research and analytical skill. And it made all the difference. it was possible for me to work at the highest level in the banking sector and at the highest level as a CEO in oil and gas with communication. So the potentials are there, but the skill that you acquire, the passion that you have, like Rene said, you are not just doing it for the sake of doing it, you are doing it because you believe it, you love it. Okay, when everybody is sleeping, you must be burning the midnight oil. It makes all the difference because you become an authority in what that organization does. Now, coming to the question that you asked, can you reframe the question again? I can't remember now because I diverted.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So, Renee, why should they pursue work in PR?
A short answer is because it's great fun. And you have an opportunity to build many networks and really shine as an individual. If you are positioning yourself in a good communication role, where you are not just, as Holly said, you're not just information officer. And I saw that somebody asked the question, what is a stupid job? There are no stupid jobs, I agree with you, but there are jobs that you can elevate yourself. Once you've acquired that, you elevate yourself to other levels. So for me, and I've been in industry and in academia for many years, my students are always surprised when I or when I say how many years, so I won't say it on this platform, but the fun that you can have in actually making, having a strategy, formulating a strategy, executing that strategy, seeing the results of what it is that you are achieving, and then networking and meeting a lot of people, that is really what our industry is tops for, in my opinion.
Thank you, Renee. How about Roxana? Why should they pursue PR?
It's fun, as Renee said. You cannot be bored. I can assure you. It's a very creative job. So whenever you can try your ideas whenever you want. You meet fantastic people and you work with different teams and with different business organizations, which is wonderful. This is why I love this job, actually. So I think that's the answer.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes,
And this is
just
Wally.
Let somebody pay you for enjoying yourself. That's what the job can do for you when you know your onions. Somebody is paying for you to enjoy yourself.
I can also add something to me, because you can change the world being a PR community.
Wow.
So you have to go there if you like it, of course.
Yes, I agree with you all, especially Sylvia. You can change the world because everything is in the power of communication, right? So thank you so much, everyone. And probably we'll give each of our panelists one last word to give to our students and young practitioners. Last word. Let's start with Sylvia.
Okay. For me, last word is a practitioner with technology. This combination is an augmented practitioner. So it's a kind of orchestra director who is having his brain, his structure, his preparation, his education, and using all tools, technology, AI, everything, strategic thinking, in order to change the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Last word, Roxana?
I would say that you cannot be scared. Don't be threatened about what's going to happen. Take opportunities and look for opportunities, and you will find them, and you will find place for yourself. And you will have a lot of fun and a lot of satisfaction out of this job.
Thank you. And Renee?
Our career and building your career is a journey. and it's actually a marathon. You don't do a sprint. You build it over a period of time. And very often we want to have an instant success. And it takes hard work that nobody will dispute, because it does take hard work. It takes commitment, and it takes really caring about what happens around us, as Sylvia said, in changing the world. So yes, we can surely change the world, and we need to build ourselves and position ourselves as future practitioners in that world to change the world.
Thank you so much. And Wale, yours is the last word for our student and young practitioners.
Yes, thank you very much. The truth is, public relations is exciting, and it reflects the life its entirety. So I believe that public relation practitioners makes the difference. We are communicating, and communicating. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that wraps up our Jobs World session for today. Thank you so much to all the students. May I remind everyone that you will all be getting a certificate of attendance from the Global Alliance. And allow me to also launch this information to all of you attendees out there, that Global Alliance would be having a page on internship and job opportunities. So if you are interested to know more about internships and job opportunities, Global Alliance will welcome you in this. So wait and see, because it's going to be launched in our website soon. And for all of you who completed the session, we'll be getting all the information right away. So please wait for that one to be announced to everyone. So again, thank you so much to all our speakers, Wole, Miss Renee, Roxana, Miss Sylvia, and we're so sorry. Unfortunately, we lost Irene. I think she got lost in connection, got disconnected probably. But we thank everyone, and I hope that everybody learned a lot today. And if you still want to participate in our next session, which is the last leg, on October 27, it's happening for Latin America and North America, October 27, 16 time, Eastern time, USA and Canada. Thank you, thank you very much, everyone. Till our next session. See you soon. See you next year at our Student and Young Practitioners Month celebration. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.